was teaching others to use social media. So because we're not about making as much money as possible, we would be delighted if we could teach people and give them the resources that would mean that they then become self-sufficient in their social media training and training type thing. So that's an element of it. Given the academics we spoke to, they didn't know who to go to with these kind of things. So there might be the PhD student who has these skills and might be implementing it, but there's still a huge amount of departments who just don't know where to find that knowledge.
I think that part of the point of social media is that your personality comes through as well, and it would be a shame if one person sat and did it for many people. What people like Polycop have got out of it is that it's him that comes across, and that's why it's been so successful.
Yeah, and on the finances, so it's $3,750 for a package of up to 5 academics working. And I broke it down into per delegate to make it competitive, because that was what our competitors do, so they were charging per delegate. So that was, sorry, maybe that wasn't said very clearly, but yeah, does that answer the question?
On the TED Talks thing, I think TED Talks is a fantastic precedent for what we're aiming to do. I think if you said 5 years ago thousands and thousands of people would watch a 22-minute lecture on the future of engineering, you would have been laughed at entirely. But the way TED Talks is structured is what would inspire you to some extent. So they've got exciting presentations. They've crafted their speech to be engaging. And because a lot of academics, a lot of the people doing TED are either entrepreneurs or have a background which means that they have that engaging style, I think we'd be able to help academics become closer to that and sort of mirror the success of TED Talks. I think there's a unique role for that academic in it, because at the moment people find it very hard to go to somewhere they trust on environmental and social issues. They think that some NGOs have got a hidden agenda sometimes. There's little trust in what businesses say with the rise of greenwash. And so to have a kind of a trusted voice of clarity that can say, it's not a matter of opinion whether this is happening. We are the ones who research it, and here's what we found out. It's unique, and TED Talks, they're very engaging, but a lot of them don't have that academic rigour and background to really support that.
I have more, but I'll let you.
I found it very... I was sceptical at the beginning, and you kind of persuaded me. I can't remember whether I'm a bank manager or an academic. I think if I wanted to invest in it or whether to buy it. I have no idea what academics. It seems like a small amount of money, £3,000, for what you could offer. I do worry on behalf of society that we get even more banal mass communications, you know what I mean? And so I was particularly struck by a comment you just made in questions, which was about targeting. So the notion that every academic could communicate with the wider world and become sort of popular, I think is kind of wrong with a capital W. But the notion that you might actually be more impactful with a carefully selected market, I could completely believe, actually. And I think part of the sale would be helping them to identify realistic markets as much as the creative skill. I'm interested in anything that makes someone more interesting and creative, which is what you were offering. And I think a part of what was appealing is that you clearly really believe in it. Well, certainly you do, and you do a very good act, and you do a very good act. We're assuming he's acting, actually. This might actually be the authentic person. I suppose, well, why a social business? Why not a business business? What's wrong with businesses?
Yeah, so
I always feel a bit embarrassed that, I've got a business. I want it to be... What's wrong with them?
No, nothing at all. Simply that our main focus is very much about making a big impact on society, improving the sustainability literacy within society, and we didn't want to be distracted by profits or shareholders, or that isn't the main aim of our business. Our main aim of our business is to make society more literate.
Well, maybe you wouldn't be distracted. Maybe you'd be more focused and applied.
Would Nesta give you 45 grand if you were for profit?
They have funded businesses, they do fund companies as well as social enterprises, yeah. The precedent for Nesta is a project called Social by Social, which is a research project into how social media can be used for social change, and that was done by a social enterprise, so yeah, we'd also be eligible for that. But in terms of the being a business, I think if we were a business, we'd find it very hard to turn away non-sustainability customers. So in the academic sphere, engineering, physics and maths have the money, and if we were to be simply trying to kind of maximise our profits, then we'd likely end up targeting those. Whereas we want as much as possible to be able to select the department based on ethical and impact criteria, and we'd do that according to how significant the sustainability subject seemed. So for example, geoengineering is going to be very big. We might make a special effort to work with an academic to spread understanding of that. And then secondly, the potential to actually spread the information online. So some topics seem to be a lot more conducive for a short online viral video or blog. I doubt that many people would watch something on environmental statistics.
I think that's a fundamental misconception of what business is, but perhaps that's for another day. I guess following the line of Tom's point, that it could just be that something like this actually would attract a lot of grant money and foundation money. I can imagine that in a way that a business might not. But in terms of focus and market, I don't buy the social enterprise bit of it at all. But I mean, not for now, maybe.
I think also, isn't it layer? I mean, I'm not an academic, I'm trained as a historian and a lawyer, so I'm not technical at all, but as I spend more of my life in this world, but as I spend, it seems to me like to understand sustainability is not just, you know this much more than I do, you've been studying for years, it's not just, you can't really target it into sort of put it in one bucket. And it's interesting that you even mentioned maths and physics and engineering, which I would suggest will be absolute cornerstones of sustainability. The world that we work in is all about engineering and about saying, right, even if they are kind of supposedly unrelated concepts, these are the things that people have to start understanding. I think energy, the idea of understanding energy better in all its forms, what are the rules around it, it's crucially important. I think you see it more and more. So, I don't know, I'm slightly going off on one, but I don't think I'd recommend you wouldn't limit yourself to that. Maybe the other point is you get more of an impact, you get a slightly bigger business base, so you can train more academic. You have to do that more if you get customers who will buy the modules.
No, yeah, that's a very good point actually. I think that because our backgrounds aren't in those subjects, we weren't instantly inclined to really consider those, and a lot of us are very interested in the sort of the behaviour lifestyle change being promoted by Tim Jackson. And so maybe our angle was initially motivated by that, but it would be wrong to not look into those areas in depth and to work that out. So kind of as we move along as a business, we would really look to as many academics as possible to work out what the next big thing is going to be.
Yeah, if you really are going to do this, then it's a big thing that I get asked and I still think about a lot is you are the unique asset of your company. And how can you create more use in a way that allows you to scale up? Because right now, what you're selling is yourself. You have this that sits behind you, but it's you that people would buy. It's a real big challenge in my experience directly, and I suggest that your approach to targeting might feel uncomfortable as a sales pitch, that we're going to work out who's most important to sustainability, like is that your right, is that your place, and I would suggest rather more focusing on going into academics through the HR route and saying, like, what does your talent pool look like, who out of your people would you like to evolve in this area, who have high potential in this area, and I would take that as a targeting approach.
Just a bit more on the research excellence framework, it sounds terrifying. Rather than academic, I think. Absolutely terrified. It's quite good.
Funny you said there was another slide, another graph that we didn't show, which is how many academics would leave the country.
Right. It's just what a portion. I mean, £1.5 billion sounds like a lot of money, but I have no idea what the total higher education budget is in the UK. So it might be only a small amount of that funding. But A, what proportion of it does it represent? And B, how much of the kind of how do you measure the impact? I mean, if you this niche subject, they have to still get 1 million YouTube hits. How does it actually work for that?
I can say a tiny bit, but Richard's the expert, as you can tell. So the ref is still something that's kind of in the process of being developed. They think it's going to come in 2012. It's really a bit of an uncertain quantity at the moment, and part of the reason for that is because impact is such a difficult thing to measure, which is what I said about social media is a really easy way to measure impact, but that doesn't necessarily mean just because people are watching something doesn't mean they're doing anything differently. It just means that they're watching
Well, that's
something.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you want to lead on from that?
I think we're probably running out of time, so we'll have to leave that one to one side. Any other questions about the business at all?
Yeah, well done.